You have 3 voicemails.
And the both of us, we do creative things to an extent. Me probably more, Long probably less.
What's your process then in making a choreograph?
So tell us, Long, like, what the hell is beat making?
Yeah.
Another sound.
Hello there.
Welcome to the show where we have the convos about Vietnam, you know.
Hello there and welcome to Convo Comrades, a conversation with the community about Vietnam. Bloody hell, it's been a while. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, yes, we have videos for you. So you can see Long here, very well dressed. as much as it hurts me and pains me to say it, but he's actually more well dressed than I am at the moment because I look like a bloody monk. Long
you look like you look like is it Backstreet Boys back in the days, right?
All right,
I'm more like Justin Bieber now.
Yeah, he does look legit at the moment. Yeah, and this is kind of like, you know, when China overtook the US as the largest economy in the world.
Hashtag keep hydrated.
Okay, he's drinking water at the moment, but it's absolutely shocking how things have changed and how our lives have changed over the past couple of months or so. And we apologize. We do apologize because we are absolutely shit podcast hosts. Yeah. We've left the podcast for like 2 months without saying anything, even though we're in the middle of the season. So Long will be the person explaining everything. Why is that so long?
It's been so hectic, you know, both our full-time jobs and then we have our side jobs.
Look. You don't have a proper full-time job.
Listen. Full-time jobs. Wait, listen to my side of the story. All right?
Okay.
And then make comments. And then we can work on the final version subsequently. So full-time job, super busy, you know, projects on and off. That's just how it is. And then and of course right here you've got your side project, Viet Devils, right? I'm plugging it for you now.
No, I'm gonna plug it in anyway. So
Viet Devils, which took a lot of your time as well. And then podcast editing for me has always been very time consuming. So the whole process, it takes a very long time. That's why we delayed. Yeah, that's my thinking.
Okay. And look, we have an announcement, guys, before we go into the different individual updates and all that. But I think it's important that we're very transparent in terms of our plans going forward. And the announcement is that we are going to be shutting down the podcast. And it's very painful to say it. It's absolutely heart-wrenching. But, you know, as gutted as we are, it's something that we didn't really decide lightly on. But it took some time to think about it. But eventually, the both of us concluded that it's probably best to shut down the podcast. This will not be the last episode. Bear in mind, this will not be the last episode. So after this, we still got a golden guest episode with Nguyen, who's currently working in Google, and he's going to share so much about Google as well as the future of technology. So be sure to listen to that. And then I think there will be one final episode. But as things stand, we are going to be shutting down the podcast. The reason, like Long said, busy. I like to kind of think of things as push and pull factors here, right? So push factors are things that would make you do something, right? Would push you to do something or make a decision. And pull factors are things that would essentially attract you to doing that are outside of what you're currently doing. So imagine, like, for example, you're quitting your job. There are push factors. You hate your boss, you hate your life, you know, so on and so forth. And then pull factors would be there are other opportunities out there. There's a better job out there. There's a better opportunity, better salary, etc. So in this case, the push factor is really the fact that the podcast, look, let's be completely fair, it's not doing that well in terms of the reach. In terms of the reach, it's not doing that well. I think it's because we chose a very particular niche, right? And the niche here is, yes, we do try to make sure that the content and the topic is encompassing. So it's everything about Vietnam. But the niche here is that the language is a restriction. Not many people, when they're listening to this podcast, they can actually follow and they can understand. And we haven't even talked about the fact that there aren't a lot of people in Vietnam or Vietnamese people listening to podcasts anyway. So the sample size, not really the sample, but the pool of potential audience or listeners, it's already very low.
Yes.
And then you're already expecting these people to be able to understand fluent English. And it's near to impossible, you know, not near to impossible, but it's more of, it just makes our target audience much, much smaller.
It's a long-term game, I think, right? It will grow. This pool that you talked about.
By the
I
way,
think initially we said it will
your
grow.
audio is peaking.
Peaking.
Yeah, it's peaking. For those who don't know, when the audio is peaking, is like it kind of breaks when it's a bit too loud.
How about now?
Too low.
Low. How about now?
Still too low.
How about now?
A bit too high. Come on, Long.
Audio engineer.
All right. Okay, cool. All right. You were saying?
I was saying the pool. You mentioned some sort of pool, right?
Not the swimming pool.
The pool where people are gonna listen to podcasts in Vietnam.
Yep.
Initially, we said it's gonna grow,
Yep.
right? Because Vietnam's gonna develop. Vietnam's gonna get more talented individuals.
Talented individuals. Bloody hell. Yes, you have not done a podcast for so long. What happened to your English, man?
I mean,
The general English proficiency in the country will increase. That's how you say it. People are going to get more talented.
But
Absolutely
that's the
shocking.
same idea, right? It's the same idea. But no, your way of expressing it is more fluid, I'd say. The general proficiency of English in Vietnam will increase. Yes, we can cut that. Yeah, we were gonna say that, but then this is a long-term game. I think if we stick long enough, one day we'll realize, oh shit, it's 1,000 followers now.
But you know, it's kind of like saying, like, if we do a podcast in Mongolian and if we talk about just Mongolian cats, one day long, one day we're gonna achieve it. No, like that's like the time frame is just unreasonable, right? So if you pick a niche topic and it's niche enough, one day you're gonna get an audience. That's really testing people's patience. And I don't think at this point in time in our lives, we have that sort of patience. And that's why we decided, like, look, this is probably not the best use of our time. And we did also speak on Instagram as well. We did tell the community that, guys, like, you know, doing a podcast is difficult. Is anyone out there able to support us, help us in so many different ways, right? And in our minds, it's even things that it's not just posting on social media, because there was one or two people, right, who reached out to us on social media and asking us whether they could help us on different social media platforms. But it's more of even editing, like what Long is doing now. It takes a lot of time, and even like social Instagram posts that I'm doing in terms of photoshopping and doing the thumbnail, it just takes way too much time. And the return on investment, and investment here is not on monetary investment, is more on time investment. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, agree.
So that's the push factor. And then the pull factor, which we're going to go into now, is that there are just other opportunities out there that we can grasp. So personally for me, Long touched on Viet Devils, and I can talk about it a little bit more, but there are just other things that when I do, for example, the reach is just astronomical, right? Even on my individual YouTube channel, if I do a video on my experience going to Old Trafford, bloody hell, 200,000 views, easy, right? It's just crazy. And the impact that I would have and the impact that I can have on society is just broader than doing a podcast that will get, I don't know, a few hundred, maybe 1,000, 2,000 views or listens. And you can sort of understand when, you know, you're not really able to move the needle and change society or change the area or the topic that you're passionate about. It is disheartening and it doesn't give you a lot of motivation to continue. What about you? What are your pull factors?
No pull factor.
It's absolutely lazy. That's it.
Pull factors for me is music, actually.
Bullshit.
Yeah, come on. No, it's music. It's music.
Oh my days. No, it's not music. It's like, come on then. Explain yourself. It's a combination of many things. All right. First of all, it's music. Because I've always I have been editing podcasts using my music software. And it has got to a point where I'm afraid of opening that software because I thought I was going to edit the podcast. So whenever I see that software, all I see is podcast. And then I felt reluctant to do anything else. I realized that. Isn't it just because you're lazy, Long? You're making excuses. It is part of lazy, but because when you're doing something that it doesn't motivate that much to you, all the reasons you explained, right? And then you have to open and you have to go through the editing process for so long. And then it makes you reluctant to do it. And then it affects my usage of that software to make something that I love, which is music. And so I realized that. So I want to break this link from podcasts and music to be able to love my software again. So am I right to say that when the podcast is over, you're going to release, I don't know, 20 songs a year? I am going to work on my software and then release is the next part, right? So if you go to my software... By the way, why are you kind of like hiding behind your microphone? I don't think you need to go that near. Like, can you move back so people can see your face? It's kind of like you have a mustache or a beard, but you want to hide it. No, because the mic is... it only picks up voices from this direction. Can you just move back a bit? Yeah, like don't attack the mic. Yeah, give it a bit more space, man. So if I talk like this, it will sound very distant. Yeah, that's true. Okay, move back in. Hide your beard, God damn it. I have to be like a rapper, you know. All right. Okay. Does it hurt your neck though when you're like just hunching down? Yes. So I will adjust my chair. All right. Okay. Continue then. Yeah. So first of all is that. Second of all, right, I think it's a fact that we want to relax as well. Right. I love relaxing. I think relaxing is key to recharging your energy level, your mental health. I think people, mostly in Vietnam, I think more especially, overlook that mental health part. And relaxing helps with that. Well, you can definitely tell that based on your latest YouTube upload and your latest Spotify song. There's a bit of too much relaxation, isn't there? It's like after an artist releases a huge song, they go on to a vacation for a year or so. Huge song. Check out my Spotify, guys. Long K. You know, like now on Viet Devils, if I just record a video for 5 minutes, that's going to get more views than all of your songs in total. I know, but it's a different market. It's like comparing apple to orange. So we're on a very good topic here. And that's really supposedly the main topic for today's podcast. And we've obviously been delaying it for how long now? Is it like 20 minutes or something? But today we want to talk about creativity, right? And what is creativity? And how do we go about the creative process? I think this is very important, and it's come up a lot of times throughout this whole podcast series of Convo Comrades. And we've always said that, okay, let's talk about creativity in a future podcast. And today really is the day to talk about it. And the both of us, we do creative things to an extent. Me probably more, Long probably less. But
frequency.
But I think that we are in a way equipped to talk about creativity and how it works and how we go about doing it. So let's start off with you, Long. So you make music, or you used to make music?
I am making music. Yeah. I have been making music.
Yeah, okay, let's see when you actually go back to making music. But you do make music. When it started, right, it was quite out of the blue, but I think it was during the pandemic lockdown.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you released like this Instagram post or this YouTube video, I can't remember now, of a teaser of a song or something. And it was quite out of the blue. So what prompted you to do that in the first place? And why did you do it?
It was, I can't remember exactly. Oh, yes, it was a course. I was learning about music making through a course.
Why?
It was just during the pandemic, you save a lot of time from commuting to work, right? So you have like extra 2 hours a day. So I was using that time to initially just to play around, browse, etc. Then I felt bored. Then I stumbled across this course, beat making course, right? It's like music production course taught by Timbaland, the very famous producer back in the day. He's not so much mainstream now. But back in the day, huge artist or producer. So then I went through the full course. It was very, I don't know, it hit something in me that I felt spark, the spark. I've never watched something so focused, and I just didn't take my eyes off it. I didn't take any notes, which I should have, but I was just so deeply intrigued by it. And
I mean, did you have any music experience before? I think you learned the piano, right?
Yeah, I learned the piano. My mom forced me to learn the piano.
As all Asian mothers do. Yeah,
and a little bit of the guitar. But I played classical. Right. I learned to play classical, and then I didn't like it. I moved to pop a little bit, and then I quit in total. Yeah, entirely I quit.
Okay, so you do have some sort of music background.
Yeah, I do. And I'd say it's been built up by my mom forcing me to learn the piano. And also my older brother learns the piano as well. And I listen to him, and he loves the piano. So I listened to him, and I developed my taste for music like that. Okay.
And you do a bit of dancing as well?
Yes.
There was a really famous choreographer who taught you a lot of choreographies. Who was it?
No, I don't know. Myself in the mirror.
Yourself in the mirror. Bloody hell.
Yeah, no, I picked up dancing in high school years, right? The Jabberwockies. I remember those were very famous.
No, not those guys. There's one particular guy. I think he's Vietnamese.
No, listen to my adventure, my lifelong journey. Right, Jabberwockies. That's why I picked up my my rhythm sense. Where's the beat going? Yeah. And then I moved to the UK, and then okay, I'll admit it. I met you. Okay. And then you were starting with K-pop choreography. Then it introduced me to a different type of dance. It's not beat freestyle anymore, but more, I don't know, visually as a team looks good, right? That's a different concept to me.
Urban dance choreography.
Yes, urban dance choreography. Yeah, and that's it. That's my background in music and dancing. And then pandemic hits. Suddenly I saw this course, I'll look at it, felt deeply, deeply intrigued. And then after the course, I remember learning nothing. The video or the course didn't teach me what's my next step, what to do next. But what it did for me was I need to do more of this.
Okay, so it kind of like ignited a passion or a desire to dig deeper. Oh, that's your word, isn't it?
Dig deeper.
To dig deeper. And to learn more and to develop more and to go into more advanced courses or advanced ways of making music.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's very important. Although it doesn't teach you anything, I was seeing him, Timbaland, having fun.
Yeah.
I was just feeling the music. And then I wanted that too.
So tell us, Long, like, what the hell is beat making, right? In the simplest of terms, is it just, for example, if I have this bloody cup right here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Right? Yeah. And I got that audio, I put it in a timeline, and then I just have another sound.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I just mix and match and construct them so that together, holistically, they sound like a cool track song.
That's it.
And then you overlay your singing on top of it, right?
Yes, vocals.
Yeah,
that's the technical term there.
Okay,
vocals. Yeah, I think you got
your singing stuff.
your concept there, correct. It can start with anything. So beat making or music producer's job is to produce music, right? So they have to took care of the whole song, all aspect of it, all instruments. And if they cannot produce any instrument, they know where to get it, either digitally or they know some artists who can play the guitar that well, or they know some vocalist.
And for you, digitally means pirately, right?
Yeah, digitally means by software. Okay, so let's say I don't have a guitar here, but I have a guitar sound bank in my laptop. It's note by note, so each file is like ding, 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 right? And I merge them all together so that it becomes a melody as I try to copy the real guitarist. But sometimes you don't get the same results. Sometimes ding, ding, ding doesn't feel as natural as a real person playing it.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So what's so creative about this then?
Yeah, because there's no defined way of doing it. There's endless possibility. There has to be a melody, and that's it. I think the number of instruments, the type of instruments. So if you scrap the guitar, you can play the Chinese guzheng in the same sort of melody. That's fine too. So the only constant is the melody, and then anything else you can play with it.
What do you mean by melody?
You have to have something to sing with, right? So that makes it a song or a beat.
So for example,
if you have a song, there has to be a melody line, like I don't know.
Use one of your examples. It's not your example.
Oh yeah, okay. My huge song. Oh yes, inspired by sort of Middle Eastern tunes. So the melody in my chorus goes like tung, 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 tung. So it has, every song I feel has to have that melody that sticks in the audience.
Okay, so now let's zoom into that melody. How did you come up with that melody?
Trial and error.
What do you mean?
Completely trial and error. For me personally, when I make music, I need to get myself up to the zone, right? The zone, the like really deep focus zone that I'm really not deep focus, like, but inspired. You know.
And how do you get there? So, is it like through drugs or what?
Some people get there through drugs, I think, seriously. But drugs, weed, or alcohol. But if you do it the clean way, like I do, yeah,
Clean.
then you make it with the foundation in music. So let's say I start off a new project with some beats, right? And then I just play random beats, try different combinations until I felt, oh damn, oh yeah, oh damn.
I was scared for a moment there. I thought like, shit, what the fuck happened too long? Call the emergency.
Right? So when that beat, only the beat. So when I say beat, it's the drums, like boom, boom, puck, boom, boom, puck.
Yeah, but how do you know if it's an oh damn moment or not?
You just know.
What do you mean?
Wait, and there's just so many variables you can play with, so many types of beats, so many arrangement of it, and the sound
exactly.
too.
So how do you know if it's oh damn?
So you have to try until you get that.
No, but how do you know?
What do you mean? You feel it inside of you.
Okay, how do you feel it?
You feel like, oh damn, this is shit. I'm the shit. It's like, oh, my music is lit.
What I'm trying to say here is, right? You feeling, oh damn, I'm the shit, I'm lit and all that stuff. It's based off something. There has to be a benchmark. There has to be something in your mind that you think that is the standard, right? For example, when you think like that, but for example, if I come from, like you said, like Middle Eastern background or something, and I listen to it, I might not think that that's the shit. I might think that is shit. Right?
Yeah.
What so I'm saying is, so is it based on the type of music that you've always listened to before that influences you on what is actually good and what is bad, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. If you have to dig deeper like that, then everything comes from my mind, right? Yeah. And the oh shit comes from my mind. It's the same source, same CPU power there, same sort of SSD storage.
Okay,
right?
No one's going to get what you're saying. Move on.
So what I'm saying is my experience, my history of listening to music, my perception of what is good and what is damn, influence what I think is damn when I create music.
So what influences you as damn?
I think modern music, modern pop. What are you doing?
I have no idea. I'm trying to entertain myself because you're not entertaining me with your story.
Wait. Okay, let me conclude it. I'd say my big influence is current pop music and K-pop.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to get at. Oh my God. We took like probably half an hour or something together.
That's my influence. K-pop.
Okay, so how did that influence come about?
Just through listening to music.
So you started listening or watching K-pop MVs, and then you started listening or focusing and paying more attention to Korean music and Korean pop. But then at what point did you decide, you want to investigate further and know who actually make the beats?
Before the pandemic, I don't know anything about beat making, right? So the process for me was, if the song is there's a name, and then there's the artist name, and then the artist has to be the person who created it, right? Yep. So that's my perception of it. But after studying more about this beat making thing, I know that there's a lot of team members behind it. They can be the producer, they can be the instrumentalist, some person who just takes care of the guitar, some person who just takes care of the vocal, and then it makes a whole song. And depending on how you sign your legal contract agreement, then in the final song, that name goes to you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, the legal side and the money making side of it, I haven't been researched, and that's why I'm not making any money. Mm-hmm. Right.
Don't think you need to tell anyone that. It's obvious.
This is for my pure hobby at the moment.
Okay.
And yes.
Okay. So to sum up, basically, you listen to a bunch of songs, you investigate further, and you realize that there's a whole industry behind beat making, behind the gloss and the glamour of K-pop. There are people who put their intellectual input into these songs and these tracks in order to make them, right?
Yeah.
And then that started the curiosity. And then when you took up the Timbaland course, that's when you understood a bit further on how this actually works and the process behind it. And then when you're actually doing the track, and then when you're making the tracks, the aha moment or the inspiration moment comes based on the experience you have, based on the times that you've listened to the idols or the beat makers that you idolize.
Yes, but the Timbaland comes first. Before Timbaland, I don't research anything further. I just listen to music and I enjoy it as is. Like, oh, this is a good beat. But then that's it. Timbaland comes and okay, let's dig deeper for one of my favorite songs. Oh, okay, so they have this element, that element, and then this is the producer and not just this girls group. Wow, okay, impressive. And then okay, let me try to copy that. Oh yeah. Oh damn, yeah. I'm the shit.
So at the start, all your oh damn moments, are they mostly based on the fact that you were copying other people?
No. I didn't know that I was copying other people.
But then did you subconsciously copy them? So when you finish it, you listen back, you realize, oh, actually, this is quite similar to X, Y, Z.
There's elements that are similar. Like, I don't know, like the drum patterns could be similar. But then if you don't listen to your track and then the artist track back to back constantly, then you cannot copy because you can't remember unless you.
But it's subconsciously, right?
Copy. Yeah, subconscious. There'll be elements there.
Yeah.
But if you listen as a whole, you cannot say that it's the same song.
Do you know why I asked? It's because the first thing that Mango said when she listened to your song was like, "This is BTS."
What do you mean? It's not BTS.
It's BTS.
I didn't have a lot of BTS influence though.
Yeah, but it's subconscious. And I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like BTS. But then I told her, actually, if he's able to make something that's quite similar to BTS, it's quite impressive. But okay, the reason why I'm asking all these questions, Long, is because I think there's a pattern here because it's the same for me when it comes to, for example, choreography, right? So for those who don't know, I was a member of Saint 319 or ST Bamochin, ST319 back in Vietnam. And we were one of the largest K-pop dance cover groups in the world, actually, not even in Vietnam. And we won a lot of prizes from Korean entertainment companies where they hosted all of these dance cover contests online. And then when I moved to the UK, it's quite similar to you. I started feeling a bit curious as to who actually created the choreographies because it's not the dancers themselves. And some of the choreographies are just absolutely sick, right? And then I started talking to this guy called Chris. He's a British guy. He didn't know anything about K-pop, but he introduced me to choreographers in the West. And then as time went on, I realized that actually one of the choreographers that he introduced to me choreographed a song for a Korean group. And there's starting to become a link here. So we've got Western choreographers who choreograph for Korean groups. And then I realized that a lot of what you would call gray matter in Vietnamese,
the intelligence,
the creativity, the intellectual input, etc., it comes from the choreographer and not the dancers themselves. And that's why I started using Long's word, digging deeper with my bloody spade, trying to understand a bit more about the area and the world of choreography. And it's so bloody creative. And I realized that I want to do something that operates in the brain function rather than following function, right? So it used to be K-pop dance covers. So I cover other people, but then those people were essentially learning choreographies from the masters themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to learn from the masters. I cut the middleman. I just learned from the masters. And the masters, people like Eastwood, Vinh, Nguyen from the Kingers, Bam Martin, all these guys are people who heavily influence how I choreograph. And when I started doing my first choreography, trust me, bloody hell, it was horrendous because it's essentially just using the same movements and the same choreographies from other choreographers and stitching them together into this bloody Frankenstein monster of a piece, right? That I call it my own choreography. And it's just really bad. But then that's where the source comes from. And over time, over like 4 or 5 years, I refined my style, and it's kind of like getting input from so many different sources and other people, as well as just things that I sort of come up off the cuff, right?
Yeah.
Or by myself. And then it merges into this weird style that now a lot of people, when they watch my choreography, they see that, oh, this is Hiroshige Rei's kind of dance, right?
Yeah.
And I really like that as well. But it does come from somewhere. There is some sort of foundation there. And I think over time, that foundation actually slowly changes. So, for example, there was a period when I was really, really influenced by Ian Eastwood, right? And a lot of my ways of thinking and how I create the choreography and the dance, it's really heavily influenced by Ian Eastwood. But then there was a period where I really liked the Kingers. So the moves and the movement and the formation, those sort of things. For example, if you can see in the choreography Lak Choi, right, by Sun Tum MTP, that was heavily influenced by the Kingers as well, and using props like, you know, the fan, etc. So your foundation changes, but there's always a foundation where you draw your inspiration and your creativity from.
Yeah, I agree. You have to start from somewhere.
Whoa, peaking, sir, peaking. Move back,
Peaking.
yeah, okay. All right, continue.
Is it peaking? Is it peaking?
No, it's good now.
Is it peaking?
No.
Is it too low? And I was gonna say, you have to start from somewhere. You have to gather information, right? You start with information gathering, and update your system here on what is the possible things out there. And I think it's very hard to copy 100%.
Really?
And
Sing
if you
319, we're the masters of that.
No, as in, because it's designed to be like that. It's designed to be as a product, and then people dance through it. But then if you call yourself a choreographer, and then you choreograph a piece, and for someone to say, oh, that's exactly like Ian Eastwood, it's quite hard to do that. Because for me personally, if I have an influence from someone, from a producer, let's say Timbaland, for example, there'll be things that I don't like about it. So overall, I love his music, I love his style, but there are things that, oh no, maybe if I was there in the studio with him, I would tell him to do this differently. So
you get a shoe in your face.
So
oh, security, take this Asian out. Who are you?
So you always change to your personal taste. So it's very hard to do on 100% copy unless you intentionally wanted to do 100% copy. Yeah, so you have to start from somewhere. But choreography to me seems there's a starting point, which is the song, right? But then the variables you have to go through to complete a dance, it's just so many things. You can start from anywhere, a movement. How about team members? How do you determine if this is a duo dance or a team dance, or this is a solo part? You know, it's what's your process then in making a choreograph?
That's actually a great point, because team member, I think you touched on a very important point there, and that's variable, right? And these variables will determine and will shape your choreography, right?
Yeah.
And how you choreograph. For example, team members. I mean, people who participate in my choreographies aren't natural dancers, like you. Right? Or even like people like Andy and even Mango, right? She's been on some of my choreographies as well. And I wouldn't say I'm a natural dancer as well. It took me a bit of time, but I would say that I have a bit more experience than the rest. So when I choreograph things, I need to be aware of, okay, how do I make it simple enough so that people can follow and the group looks good, but also not lowering too much of my standard so that the piece is something that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Very, very, very important. And over the course of my choreography, period in life, that's always something that I've always have to struggle and balance, right? Because it's not as easy as just going all out and doing an absolutely crazy piece, and then people will be able to follow it. Because I can do that, but the important thing is, am I able to teach people to follow it and to dance to it at the level that I want, right? And that's very, very, very difficult. And so you would naturally see that some of my solo pieces where I just dance by myself, for example, Chúng ta không thuộc về nhau was sent to MTV. That was like super complex. And I wouldn't expect other people to be able to follow it. But then there'll be other songs like Baby Baby, right, by Monster. That's much simpler. Or Người yêu tôi không có gì để mặc, right? That's so much simpler, the one that we did on Greenwich.
Yeah.
It's so much easier as well. Lạc Trôi was a bit in between. So it's a bit, because that was going for like some sort of performance, live performance. So there has to be a bit more complexity behind it. So yeah, it depends on all these variables. How I go about doing a choreography, bloody hell. It always starts off with a song that I listen to. It's not something that, okay, by the end of this month, I'm going to produce a choreography. It's not like each year I would need to have one choreography. It's not like that. It's if a song inspires me, then I will start thinking about it, right? So it's just like, me sitting down with Mango and watching an MV together, a music video together, right, by some artist. Back in the days, a few years ago, it would be sent to MTP, right? Whenever he releases a song, I'll just be playing it. And then normally for some songs, for example, what's that song that we were fighting each other and then your chest was just bouncing like mad?
Is it sent to MTP song?
Yeah. What's that song?
I don't know.
The song with the broken arm.
Oh, the sex song with Snoop Dogg.
What? Okay.
No,
if you want to choose how you want to...
Give it to me. Hey, Cha Chang, give it to me.
Hey, Cha Chang, all right. Give it to me, right? That song, we listened to it in Eurotrip 2019. And that's when we went to Italy and Austria as well. And when I listened to it for the first time, I didn't really like it. Right? I was like, okay, yeah, it's a cool song, cool MV, shot in the US, Snoop Dogg and all that. But then when I came back home, and during the trip back home, I just put on my earphones on the airplane, and I listened to it a bit more, a couple of more times. And then I actually watched one dance choreography. And then that's when it inspired me. So sometimes songs that inspire you, it takes a bit of time, right? And once a song inspires you, then bloody hell, just naturally in my head, I choose the best part that I really groove to, right? It makes me kind of like move to. It makes me want to, do sort of make movements and dance to it. I don't know how it just comes about. It just naturally comes to me like that.
Yeah.
And then when I know what that segment is or what that section is, and most of the time it's the chorus, right? But it depends. It's either the verse with the chorus or the bridge with the chorus, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
Then I would know that, okay, fine. So am I doing the dance or am I not doing the dance? I have to decide then, right? And if I'm doing the dance, then I have to be quite strategic now. So taking away my creativity brain out and putting on my logical brain in, right? I have to think, okay, is this chorus long enough to do a video, right? If it's long enough to do a video, fine. If it's not long enough, then do I choose the verse? Is it verse 1 or verse 2? Right? And sometimes it depends because the melody is the same, the beat's the same. You will choose based on the lyrics. Right?
Yeah.
And then you will choose based on the lyrics. And that's when I started choosing, then I will start to, okay, fine, let's think about it. Let's think about how it builds up, how it works. And I would tend to think about it based on the pacing and the lyrics, right? Pacing, probably in the verse, it's slower. Okay, what are the sort of movements that will fit a slower pacing section of the song? And which are the movements that in the chorus, for example, if the vibe is happy, it's energetic, then I will have to think about big, fast movements. So movements that are expanding your hands, expanding your legs, etc., spinning. Those are the sort of the movements that will fit in a chorus, as compared to a verse, right? So that's the slow build up, and then naturally I will probably go into the chorus first, and I'll start building the chorus first because I'm more of that sort of choreographer. I like big, massive, explosive moves, right? Yeah. And then I would think about, okay, in order to make that chorus, how do I tame down the verse or the bridge, right? So that it helps to accentuate, to bring focus to the final chorus, right? Yeah. And then slowly I have to think, okay, do I just dance by myself in the verse or in the bridge? Or do I have 3 people? And then in the chorus, do I have 3 people, those same 3 people, such as Vì tôi còn sống của Tiên Tiên, right? Or do I have a big team, like 5 people, for example, like Lạc Trôi or something, right? So those are the things I need to think about. But also you have to think about things that are constraining, for example, people's ability, but also time constraint. Do you have enough time to teach people these things? If not, then it's better if you just do things solo at the front and then you teach people with the chorus together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But when you come about the choreograph, I think it's easy. I have 2 problems. That's why I wouldn't want to become a choreographer, right? First of all, it's memory. Like when you come up with this, but when I come up with a song, an idea, Control S, saved. Okay, come back later. But then when you are in the movement, okay, hands up, hands down, hands behind back, and then you want to take a break. That was pretty simple. But let's say you have a long verse, and then how do you register that so that you remember? Is it just practice?
I've got absolutely no idea. Because look, I'm going to share this story, yeah? So I recently released that movie, right, on my channel, My Year 2019. I'm sorry, what year am I living in? My Year 2021, right? It's a lot of creativity in there. And there's a section in there that I've always wanted at the start of the year to put in, which is a dance choreography section, because it's in a way part of my identity, right? And how I started YouTube. So I had that section in there. And it's been 2 years since the last time I choreographed. The last time was when I proposed to Mango, right? So that was in 2019. So now 2021. And my God, for the love of me, it was so bloody hard and difficult to choreograph again. And I think one of the things that was the most difficult was trying to remember all the bloody moves, right? Yeah. And I think it touched on your point there. And I don't know. And I think it's just a lot of brain power. So if you just put your brain on sort of autopilot, then when you're choreographing, yeah, there's a great move, that's a great move, but then you just forget everything, right? Yeah. But it's a lot of brain power and focus to make sure that you stitch everything together and do it 5 times in a row. And that's something that I had to sort of accustom myself to doing. And it's a skill that slowly over time, I sort of tended to forget. But then when I went back to choreographing, that's something I had to force myself to do, right? So it's about, okay, now you've done it. It's about continuous until you're comfortable enough to say that, okay, I can remember this in 1 hour's time. Let's take a break. Because you don't take a break if you're not confident enough, because otherwise you're going to lose the movement.
Yeah, that's it.
So do it enough times so that you're comfortable enough to say that, okay, in 1 hour's time, I'm going to do it. And when I do it, I can still remember the exact movement, right? So it tends to be probably before I take a shower, right? And then in an hour's time, when I do take a shower, I do it in the shower. You get it? So I always have to find opportunities throughout the day to make sure that, okay, I actually remember doing these things and I have time to do these things.
Is that how you injured yourself in the shower in Vietnam? You cut yourself?
Actually, it might have been. It might have been. For those who don't know, I went back to Vietnam and there was this bloody, I don't know how to explain it, but where you put shampoo and stuff at my parents' place. And I think I was dancing or something.
You must have been. And how can you cut yourself? Yeah.
I have no idea. And then I just moved my shoulder really hard. And this entire, like, I have a stitch here and blood was just pouring like mad. It was quite sharp and blood was pouring like crazy. And I had to go to the hospital and get stitches. It was mad. All right. Thanks for remembering that.
Okay. Back to the second problem I had. Okay, that's some remembering, right? Mm-hmm. Second of all is designing. Mm-hmm. Designing for yourself, okay, very easy in front of the mirror. But if you are not designing, choreographing, right? If you're choreographing for other people or for the team without them being there. So let's say this is a very initial stage, but you don't know who your team members will be, but you know that it's gonna be 3 people. How are you gonna imagine these 2-3 people doing right, without them being there?
Oh, right. Okay. Maybe it's because I'm blessed with visualization. Like you have to be able to visualize how people would look in a 3D world. Yeah. For example, we might not even be facing the same place. The same direction. We might be facing 3 different directions. I need to think about, if I'm doing this move and they're doing the same move, but they're facing other directions, how would they look when I'm looking at the mirror, right? And maybe I'm blessed with this ability to visualize things in my head and just think of how things would look, people would look, and if we were to do movements, how things would look, right? And maybe it's something that I've overlooked and I've not really appreciated, but it seems like not everyone has this ability.
No, definitely for me. If I choreograph for myself, okay, easy. But the only problem is remembering what I did 1 hour ago. Yeah. But then for other people, that's very challenging because I don't know what would they do without them being here. How would it look? So definitely a good skill there because maybe, I always.
Sorry, just to jump in. It probably stems from not just dancing with Saint 319. It's probably even something that I picked up way before. And it might have been due to football as well. And this is interesting. Okay. This is interesting, right? Because it seems like our creativity, it stems from so many different sources. And it's not just in one single domain or single area. Yeah. So for football, for example, when I was training in Singapore, and for those who don't know, very quick context, I used to train in Singapore in the school team. We play 11 versus 11, full pitch. We've got an actual coach. We've got Adidas who sponsored us, etc., etc. We've got like proper tactics and all that stuff as well, a training schedule. So it was mad. So I was the striker, right? And every time we do analysis of tactics and situations, it forces me to really think about what happened in that particular situation and moment, where my teammates were, how I was positioned, where the opponents were, who was the defender defending me and how far away they were, and who was to my left flank and who was to my right wing, etc. Those are the sort of things that I had to visualize when I was trying to understand my game and how I could improve my game in sports, right? And that might have been a skill that I picked up and I carried over to dancing as well.
Football is like a choreograph, right? It's like 11 people choreograph. You have to go in sync with each other. But it's really freestyle. Everyone does what they want, but has to maintain that formation.
Yep.
And I guess you have to visualize what your teammates are doing, in a sense, while running, and that translate to your skill in visualizing and choreographing, right?
I mean, it's not just thinking about what happened before. In the game, you have to think about what's happening. So, for example, if you're receiving the ball, you have to think and visualize whether a teammate is already running so that you can pass to them immediately.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So when you're receiving the ball, you visualize it, and then you might glance to have a look just to check, but things are already happening in your head while you're playing sports.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking of, for example, as a striker, you're thinking of when you're receiving the ball, there's a defender immediately behind you running towards you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So naturally in your head, and it's interesting that we're digging into this, and it's something that I really haven't really thought about, but it actually makes a lot of sense. I'm always thinking about scenarios and how things and how people are moving and how it will affect the outcome of certain situations, whether I can make the pass, where I can strike the ball to score the goal, whether I'm going to get a bloody, someone fouling me and it's going to take me, 1 minute to catch my breath again. Right. So those are the sort of things that I'm always thinking when I'm playing football.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to think really fast and have solution for each of those scenarios in place already.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's really, I think that is definitely translating to choreography. Talking of scenarios, right? When you have the ball, then this is a scenario that presumably everyone has practiced, right? So it's like a approach or tactics. When Hugh has the ball, this is back in, the training room. When Hugh has the ball, you have to move forward. And then in your head, you have to think, okay, this is that scenario now. I'm expecting my teammates to move there.
Exactly.
And then you glance just to confirm.
Yep.
And then you do accordingly.
Yep. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
And it's absolutely amazing when it actually works based off the training that you've done, right? There's been a couple of times where we go into a tournament and we score the exact same goal that we've been practicing. And it's great to see that, there is sort of, you can see the fruits of our labor and how things have translated from the training ground into an actual match. But of course, football is very dynamic. It's not like if you just practice, it will happen. Because variables are the 11 other people over on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. Back to dance.
What else? what other questions you have about dancing and the creative process? I have a question
is, the creative process, okay, I think we've been through that. But what's your goal? I'm afraid of picking them. What's your goal in creating a piece of choreograph? And to clarify, is it so that other people can dance and copy and make it like a viral thing and you're proud that it's reaching so many people?
Yep.
Or some other reason? I don't know, make it so complex and so professional that everyone just wow, but no one can copy it.
Mm-hmm. I think the goal and the objective of choreographing, it varies, right? So, for example, if it's a Suntung MTP song, it's to go viral, right? It's to get views, it's to get likes, it's to get comments, it's to become viral. That's it. Because if it's a Suntung MTP song, and if it's my choreography, and if it's being released in time and recently, then that's the formula to go viral, right? Yeah. And of course, on top of that is the video behind it, the videography, the scene in London, etc. It's the best formula to go viral, right? So that's one. Then you've got other things like event-based. For example, I needed to choreograph for an event. For example, SVUK's event, when I was a contestant, and then 1 or 2 years later, when I was a guest performer, right, as the previous winner of SVUK's talent show, then that's an event-based. So that's different. So when I choreograph, it's to make sure that I deliver against the event's expectation, right? Either I need to win. So that's showcasing the storytelling, showcasing the theatrics, but also showcasing the technical capability to do that. That's different. And then when I was the guest performer, it's to really show that, okay, this is the reason why he was the guest, right? I can't be delivering I can't be delivering a performance that isn't even up to the standard of, let's say, other contestants, right? That's not gonna land very well. So it's really pushing my boundaries. And because it's a live event, there has to be a theatrical angle to it as well. So in terms of lighting, stage, how do we utilize the atmosphere? How do we build up the atmosphere? And therefore, we had that a bit of a skit at the start, that play, and you were the narrator as well, right? So it's always building up, and the storytelling of a choreography on stage is different to a storytelling on a video on YouTube. So it's very different. So that's the second bucket. And then the third bucket has to do more with genuine desire to improve. And this is less so about views, right? So sometimes I'll pick a song, for example, and that song, I was like, this song is so lit, and I just can't stand it if I do a choreography that is dumbed down, right? Or that is lower than how I'm really capable of dancing. Right? I really want to push the boundaries, and I'm thinking of people like Eastwood, Bam Martin again. I'm thinking like, I need to make sure that I do a choreography that at least tries to or strives to be just as close to them as possible, right? And for that one, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm just dancing by myself. I'm not dancing with anyone, and I really want to put in as much effort as possible into this. So the objective varies depending on the project. That's the answer.
And after talking, right, I think this is the first time we talked about this, music making, choreographing. I think we should move on to video making soon later. But there's a link between dancing and making music as well. So you mentioned previously how in order to make the chorus big, you have to die down the verses or the bridge a little bit. I think there is that technique in music making as well. So when we started off in music, everything is the same. But then if you identify the chorus, you have to bring everything else down. Because it's in many domains. So in video editing, and we can talk about it in just a bit, in video editing, it's the same thing. It's to make sure that you are the person who controls what the audience sees and what the audience feels. Whenever in the video, you have to do it as an editor. Let's talk about video now. Okay.
Do we have time? Is it the end of the first episode? I don't know. It's probably the end of the first episode, isn't it?
Okay, so let's end it.
I mean, are people gonna follow our Facebook and Instagram if the podcast is shutting down?
Yes, let's give them one last chance.
Chance. Well, the thing is, guys, look, the podcast is shutting down. Not gonna lie, right? We've already shared that at the start of the podcast, and this whole series, this whole podcast is shutting down. But think about it. I mean, the reason why we're still doing this, right? We can always just shut it down immediately. But the reason why we want to do this is because we want a very clean ending to the podcast. Clean. So we've got the podcast with Nguyen, right, on Google, which is coming up. And then there's a final podcast to just clean off everything. And who knows, there might be a season 3 when the both of us have like families and we're just bloody fed up with with our kids. We just need a place for some therapy. So the season 3 might come back, and in season 3 it might be, I don't know, 5 or 10 years time. It'll be quite interesting. So make sure you follow Convo Comrades on Instagram and Facebook. It's just drop a follow, right? And in 5 years time, you might just see a very pleasant post of us saying that the podcast might return.
Yeah, because we're not going to delete those accounts. Everything is there. It's going to be there. We're just going to shut the podcast down, but our products are still there, right? We're not going to delete anything.
Yeah.
And I think the audio quality in this call reflects that we've died down, right? I don't know, because we used to do a paid platform, but this is Zoom, so it's free platform. So something is wrong with my gear and free platform.
And for those who don't know why we're dressed like this at the moment, it's because, well, at the start, Long's hair looks like a fucking palm tree.
No, I've always looked like this. I go to sleep like this.
No.
I'm
You
a
look like a
rapper.
bloody palm tree, and I look like a monk at the moment because my hair looks so bad as well. Because it's like 8 a.m. in UK time. But anyway, okay, you close off the podcast. Come on then.
Okay, let me remember. Okay, guys, follow us on Convo Comrades on Spotify, on Facebook.
Lower your volume, man. Peaking.
Again,
Yes.
follow us on Spotify and Facebook, Instagram at Convo Comrades. And for now, bye bye.